What is going on, guys? It's your boy CJR Sports, and today we're going to be having our daily Giants news, the topics, whatever you want to call it. We have it, and today's been a crazy day in the NFL. We haven't seen one of these days in a while. Baker Mayfield traded. So the first thing I want to bring up is kind of to cap off and stop talking about Baker Mayfield is that the Giants now face Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers week 2. Like, we were always facing the Panthers, but now we are facing Baker Mayfield. And so Ben McAdoo, our former offensive coordinator and head coach, revenge game, and Baker Mayfield will be their starting quarterback. So definitely a game where we are interested to figure out what's going to happen. But, lead off with that. No more Baker Mayfield talk. A few reports came out. Bleacher Report has been kind of blowing up what the Giants should do with Saquon Barkley and who they should sign. So yesterday we kind of talked about should Saquon Barkley be traded. And my first thought was absolutely not. Bleacher Report came out with a kind of article. They suggest that Saquon Barkley should be on the trade block. And once he is traded, the player that they think that the Giants should sign, not trade for, but resign, is David Johnson to back up Matt Breida. So the whole thing that Mike Clay about Darius Slayton for what's his name from the Dolphins? I have his name. Myles Gaskins is just a thought. Definitely, it's most likely not going to happen. You don't like we talked about. You don't see player for player trades, but Saquon Barkley on the trade block. Once you trade him, you figure out his value. You go sign David Johnson to back up Matt Breida. That's what Bleacher Report wants the New York Giants to do before training camp. So could Saquon Barkley be on the trade block? I personally don't think so, but Bleacher Report does. I know I'm kind of running through these. I have kind of a lot for today on the Giants stuff, so we're going to kind of get right into it. Is one player I want to talk about, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and I brought up some stats for you guys so you guys can kind of break along with us, is Adoree Jackson. He's one player that the Giants need him to stay healthy all season long. Not only because he is easily our best corner on the roster, but we are in a time where the Giants secondary is arguably or probably the easiest. We're definitely the secondary is the Giants' biggest concern entering training camp for sure. We lost players like Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, James Bradbury, who were all starters for us last year, and free agency, and players that we had to cut, for cap casualties. And Adoree Jackson was able to not be the lead guy. And when he was in Tennessee for the lead guy, they decided to cut him. So definitely is a little bit, mind-boggling why the Giants would not want to retain James Bradbury or offer him a reconstruction of his contract, whatnot. The Logan Ryan cut, I think when people look at it, it's only like 1.5 of dead money. I get it because he was a big vocal leader in the locker room and a big Joe Judge guy. So I think having Logan Ryan out of that and redefining the culture, I understood that. And I just love Jabril Peppers, especially when he was a part of the Odell trade. He was one of our longest tenured Giants, and I would love to have him on the team for the future, especially in a position where we really need him, when we're struggling with our strong safety spot. I would have loved to at least have Jabril Peppers come for one more season before we're able to fill that or see what he has after his injury with his ACL. But Adoree Jackson is someone that needs to stay healthy with a secondary as bad as the Giants secondary is going to be this year. A few stats. Last season, Adoree Jackson was targeted 61 times. He allowed 34 completions which is 55.7% completion rate, which is pretty damn good. He played like a cornerback one last year, but there was a lot of pieces that made him successful. He only allowed 2 touchdowns and did not commit a defensive penalty. So that's massive. If we can have that same production that we did with him last year going into this year, he's an obvious CB1. We're paying him way too less of money that we can extend him and see if we can get some of that money back, into our salary cap, which is great. But I can see the Giants wanting to extend Adoree Jackson this offseason if he plays the way that he did last year and we're able to put another corner around him to make him look even better and to even get maybe a half-decent strong safety to help it out and maybe get a backup free safety, because the Giants love to run the 4-2-5, and we don't have enough players to be able to run that 4-2-5 this year. But you guys heard me talk about, like, I wanted Jabril Peppers to be, he'd be one of the longest tenured Giants. It's funny how I kind of said that, and I didn't have that written down. I just kind of thought of it. Fun fact, like, who do you think is the longest tenured Giant? I'll give you a second. Think about it. I have the years, who it is, and the years, and I think it would kind of blow your mind. Which I think everyone should get this one, but Sterling Shepard is our longest tenured Giant. And he was a rookie out of Oklahoma, second round pick, wide receiver in 2016. Okay? The next longest tenured Giant, Saquon Barkley and Nick Gates. Both got drafted in 2018. Think about that. So Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley, Nick Gates, 2018. Not even 4 years. 3 players on the team have been there for 3+ years. That's it. 4+ years. That's it. And our 2019 draft class that's still here, Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, O'Shane Ximines, Julian Love, and Darius Slayton. Those are our longest tenured Giants. That is crazy. We don't have veterans on the roster. There's a reason why we were really big into like Logan Ryan and Blake Martinez and James Bradbury and especially Sterling Shepard. Like, we wanted players that not only were on the Giants for a year or two, but that were also veterans of the league. And so when you don't have like a veteran on the roster, and I think that's why people are really wanting Shep, and when Shep took his pay cut, Giants fans really respected Sterling Shepard because we know how much it means to have a veteran, not only in the league, but a veteran that's been there in the locker room for years and years and years and know what it means to be a New York Giant. Sterling Shepard decided to take that pay cut after his Achilles tear, and he wanted to be here. He chose to be here. He took a pay cut to be here. And so I have a lot of respect for him for that. And for him to be the longest tenured Giant, I wish it was longer. I wish we could have someone from, 2014, even players from that same 2016 draft class, maybe our 2014 draft class, 2015 draft class. But no, we have no one from our 2017 draft class. And we only have 2 people from our 2018 draft class. So that really tells how bad we were at drafting, that we couldn't keep those players on the roster. And then when we had, I think, like 11 picks in 2019, we only have 5 players from that, which is Daniel Jones, first rounder, Dexter Lawrence, first rounder, O'Shane Ximines, third rounder, Julian Love, fourth rounder, Darius Slayton, fifth rounder. So we had a couple late round guys, but usually they were only the one. This was the draft I think we traded up for DeAndre Baker. He was gone after the first year. I don't like BJ Hill and all that. It's unfortunate, kind of like what happened with that. But I would have really liked some of the longest tenured Giants to still be here, and unfortunately they are not. 2017 was BJ Hill, my fault, with Lorenzo Carter in that draft class. But I would have really liked some more longest tenured Giants, and I think that's what Joe Shane is trying to bring to this team, is trying to keep long-time Giants together and have them kind of show showed them what it is to be a Giant, and when their time is up, we have players that can be here. I think that's why Saquon is still on this team, because he's technically the second longest tenured Giant, which is crazy. And so we kind of talked about Adoree Jackson, and a big part of why Adoree Jackson succeeded was, the rest of the secondary group. And someone that we didn't name, because he's still on the team, is Xavier Mckinney. And can Xavier McKinney really build off his breakout year for the Giants last year? And for me, it's an obvious yes. It's an obvious yes. So he was hurt all his rookie season. So last year was technically like his rookie season. He was like a red shirt in 2020. In 2021 last year, he was phenomenal. It was kind of a rough end the first 2 or 3 weeks, but then afterwards, it was smooth sailing. Logan Ryan did not play much of free safety. He was kind of like that nickel dime slot kind of guy who you can move across the field. He played a little bit of strong, a little bit of free, a little bit of nickel, a little bit of dime, a little bit of he played everything for the Giants last year. And because you had a very strong free safety that you can put in a cover 3 and then move everyone else. So I think what the Giants have with Xavier McKinney is very good. What could struggle is not having James Bradbury, not having Jabril, not having Logan Ryan. Xavier McKinney's going to have to do a lot himself. Is he ready for that? I think there was a lot shown on tape from Joe Shane and Wink Martindale that says he can. If not, they would have brought in someone. They brought in a strong safety, not a free, and in the draft, and Dane Belton. So I feel like Xavier McKinney is gonna have even a more of a, for Giants fans, he had a breakout year. I think this is when he breaks out into the entire NFL and shows that he is a legit free safety. He is going to be a legit free safety for a long time. So I'm excited to see what he does moving forward in this defense, that it's really going to be all him, and he's going to be the lead guy, the lead bell cow, the guy on this defense. And I'm excited to see how he approaches that and wants to take it. And the last thing I want to end off with is may not be every single video where I have someone like this, but just like a prospect to watch that's coming, because college football is slowly coming up too, and us Giants fans, we're always looking towards the future and wanting to see we kind of know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones, so we want to see what's going to happen with the future of our organization, our favorite team, like what's going to happen. So I love watching college football for that reason, to figure out who's going to be the next great player in the NFL. And so one player I kind of picked out for this, if it's this video or this week's prospect to watch, it's going to be Kentucky quarterback Will Lewis. He's a 6'3", 232-pound quarterback who was a transfer from Penn State to Kentucky last year. So he transferred from Penn State to Kentucky. So some of the stats that I got was Pro Football Focus said that from a pure tools perspective, Lewis is probably the closest thing in this upcoming draft to Josh Allen. And so Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, they know all about Josh Allen. There's more that came with this, but I'm talking now, is that they know all about Josh Allen. And Brian Daboll was the reason why Josh Allen is a $300 million man now. So I think if you can have a very similar build to Josh Allen, I think the Giants would be very interested, and I think Brian Daboll would really fight for Joe Shane to, if the opportunity presents itself that Daniel Jones isn't the guy that Brian Daboll wants in his offense, that I could see the Giants being very adamant about getting someone like Will Lewis, who is very similar to one of the reasons why Buffalo is as successful as they are now. Lewis earned a 90 overall grade in his first season after transferring from Penn State. So when he played Kentucky, he earned a Pro Football Focus grade of 90.6 at Kentucky. And so I keep saying Kentucky. Is there someone that kind of rings your bell who we recently just drafted? Oh, yeah, one of our wide receivers, Wan'Dale Robinson, came and was drafted from Kentucky to the New York Giants. So he'll be, if we decide to select Will Lewis, he's already have chemistry with someone who he made into a second-round pick who was going to be a fourth, fifth rounder, the prior season. So there's definitely a connection there. And the last thing I kind of want to bring up with Will Lewis is that he has kind of a relationship with the Mannings. He goes to a lot of the Manning camps. And Eli kind of being around the organization, kind of around, the team still, he can always put a word in saying, like, this is a guy that we need in, blue and white. I think that, that's kind of how Daniel Jones was drafted, is he worked with the same quarterback coach as Eli and Peyton. So that's a lot of reasons why Daniel Jones was always connected to the Giants in the 2019 draft class. So kind of similar reasons why Will Lewis could also have that same connection, as well as the Brian Daboll connection and everything else. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I say it every video, I love talking about the Giants. I can talk about them for hours. But the only reason why I'm going to keep doing these, if you guys like up the video, comment if there's anything that I missed from either news today or stuff that you may agree or disagree with, and leave down below prospects that you want me to do more research on that I can explain to you guys on as well. But it's your boy, CJR Sports, and I'm out. Peace, guys.